I, 27 male, am married to my amazing wife, Eva, 27. We're unable to have children together naturally. Our fertility doctor has said our best chance at having biological children is IVF, and we're now working our butts off to make that happen for us. My family is aware of our struggles to conceive, and they know we've decided to pursue IVF. My sister Jane, 43, has been vocally outspoken about her disgust at our decision. She told us that my wife Eva, being adopted, should be thinking of adoption before any form of fertility treatment. She's ranted about how IVF is unethical and how we're going to screw our kids up for life. She's focused most of her ire on Eva, and I've stepped in every time and told her to knock it off and to keep her opinions to herself. She questions Eva every step of the way about rejecting adoption and how her family must feel to know she would rather have her bio baby instead of adopting when they've adopted her. Eva opened up to Jane, which is something I didn't think she needed to do, and I told Eva as much, but she wanted to. She told Jane that adoption is not always an ethical option, and while it can be such an amazing thing and bring so much joy to everyone, adoption is nowhere close to perfect. She also opened up about feeling on the outs her whole life because she looked like nobody, and her family would always pass comments about her siblings, bio kids of her parents, looking like family members, and comments were often made about twins, meaning lookalikes. As the only kid who never got that and the kid who was different, it weighs on you. She said her parents and siblings loved her as their own and she loved them. But she also knew the extended family saw her as the adopted child, as the child that wasn't really theirs. She mentioned how both her birth parents rejected her when she reached out for contact, and how it all made her long for a genetic connection to the family she created. She told Jane she could have that, it would just cost, but she couldn't in good conscience adopt when it would be her last choice. Jane called her names and told her she was disgusting and should be ashamed for viewing things this way. Eva was so upset after talking to Jane. Then Jane called me a few days later and told me I should talk to Eva about how she needs to fix her thinking. I hated hearing my sister say that about my wife, and I told Jane that she was the biggest hypocrite because she only adopted her kids as a last resort after being told again and again that IUI and IVF would not work for her and that assisted pregnancy wouldn't either. I told her we never judged her for how she started her family, but I did judge her for having gone through all that and being so hard on Eva. I told her it was disgusting and that she should be doing better. Jane told me I had no business throwing her infertility in her face, and she told me to go screw myself. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but I think the reason your sister is coming down on your wife so much is because if you and your wife have a bio kid, she will be more angry and jealous that she couldn't do it. Your sister sounds like the type of person who, if she can't have it, no one should be able to do it any other way but the way she did it. Your sister is mad you may have a chance at a bio kid while she never had a chance. I get this as well. Anything she said has far more to do with herself than you and your wife. It's an incredibly heartless and dismissive position. I can't believe even after Eva explained her reasoning to her, which she didn't need to do and was a courageous thing to do, your sister still didn't budge. I'd stopped talking to Jane for a long time. She's incredibly disrespectful. She can go preach from her soapbox at an adoption parade and check herself at family functions. Bingo. Sister Jane has some very real issues with Eva potentially getting the one thing she couldn't get: biological children. Your sister is being a vindictive idiot because IVF might work for you when it didn't work for her. I wouldn't be surprised if she starts or has already started thinking of her adopted kids as consolation prizes. OP, do you need this person in your life? Sounds like life is better without this toxic nutcase. I'm a light sleeper, so the smallest sound wakes me up and it takes me forever to fall back asleep. My husband knows this and it's been a big issue recently. He comes home late and then wakes me up as he's getting ready for bed. I've repeatedly asked him to sleep in a different room if he's back after midnight, but he refuses to. Yesterday, I decided to lock our bedroom door so he would get the hint and sleep somewhere else. I warned him that if he wasn't home by a certain time, I would lock the door so it's not like I did it out of nowhere. When he realized the door was locked, he knocked a few times loudly, which woke me up, but I pretended I couldn't hear him, and I ignored him when he said he knew I was awake and he told me to open the door. Eventually, he gave up and slept in a guest room. This morning, he was giving me the cold shoulder, and he said he should remove the lock from the bedroom over this. I didn't say anything initially since I could see he was angry, but then he asked me if I had something to say to him, and I said no, so he told me to try saying sorry, so I told him I wasn't. He left the room after that, and I haven't tried speaking to him since, as I know he's still mad at me. Am I the idiot? Edit, it's mostly him spending time with his friends and family so he can leave earlier. Not the idiot, because you tried other solutions, asking him to sleep in another room and he refused them. You told him what the consequence would be if he stayed out late, then you enforced that boundary. There's nothing wrong with that because he blatantly disregarded your requests, and he was informed what would happen. However, this isn't going to resolve the problem. You two clearly need to sit down and discuss a solution that works for both of you, which may be you sleeping in another room instead. This requires him to care about your frustration though, and it seems like he doesn't. So OP should wait till midnight to see if he feels like coming in at a decent hour, and if not, scuttle over to the guest room. Yeah, there's only one solution that's going to work here, quite obviously, and that is him getting his own way 100% of the time because he's entitled to do what he pleases. I've been with someone like this, and trust me, there's no damn recourse. He's not coming home from work late. He's out partying or socializing until after midnight and waking you up every evening. He can sleep in another room. This is the consequence of his choices. You completely have a right to undisturbed sleep, and the fact that he seems completely insistent on disrupting your sleep is concerning. You need to sit down and talk and establish this boundary. At the very least, he doesn't care about you. At worst, he's a controlling abuser, and you probably suffer harm in other ways as well. Not sure where to begin with this. I guess last night one of the more popular frats on campus was having a Christmas on the beach themed party, so all around the bar area were girls dressed in bikinis with vague Christmas themes. My roommate was dating this total nutjob named Sydney, and as far as I knew they were broken up. Well, at about 2 a.m. he bombs through the door with Sydney and her friend in tow, both dressed like elves with way too much skin showing. My roommate and Sydney went to his room and still haven't come out. I was playing Fortnite and the other girl said she was Sydney's friend and the designated driver and was stuck. She asked if I would mind if she charged her phone and hung out until she knew Sydney was okay. I said fine. Maybe 15 minutes later she said something like, "I know this is so weird for both of us, but I'm not here by choice. I just don't want to bail on my friend. But sitting here with a guy I don't really know in a bikini is weird and I'm cold. Do you have some sweats I can borrow? I see you every Monday and Wednesday and I promise I'll give them back." I told her no, I wasn't comfortable with that. She asked if I at least had a blanket. I found one in my roommate's spare room, but it was really small, and said I was sorry, it was the best I could do. She fell asleep on the couch and I went to bed. My older sister came to pick me up for breakfast, and she saw the girl sleeping on the couch and asked why a half-naked girl was sleeping under a baby blanket. In the car, I told her what happened, and she basically got so mad at me, saying I had about 30 opportunities to be a really decent guy and I blew it. She said it sounded like the girl was trying to do the right thing by her friend, and I could have let her use sweats. I could have let her sleep in my bed while I took the couch. I could have said that she should go home and I'd drive Sydney home, but basically, I was an idiot because I left an apparently nice girl in a vulnerable position and I didn't even care. She said that I need to grow up to have friends and have some empathy if I ever want girls to like me. She had no idea if that girl was into me or not, but I missed a great practice round of treating someone in a nice way that they may reciprocate. When we got back to my house, my roommate, Sydney, and the girl were gone. There was a sticky note on my door that said, "Thank you for letting me stay here, sorry it was weird. Please say hello sometime, Nat." My sister said this was even more proof that I acted like an antisocial weirdo, and she was just being nice, and the reason I've never had a girlfriend is the way I acted last night. Sister says I need to go up to her on Monday, apologise, offer to buy her lunch and try to have a friendly conversation with her. I wanted to see people's opinions on that too. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot, and judgmental to boot. I love how you mentioned it was a beach party so all the girls were in bikinis, but Sydney and her designated driver friend were the only ones you shamed and said had too much skin showing. Dude, everyone was in bikinis. Secondly, your sister was right. You were neither empathetic nor a gentleman. Third, she wasn't asking for a name-brand ski jacket, she was asking for sweats. Exactly. Were you obligated to help her? No. Technically, you're not obligated to help anyone, but this line of thinking is very selfish, which makes you an idiot. It would have been very easy to help and you didn't. Hopefully you can learn from this in the future. And she literally sounds so nice. That makes it even worse. She was staying at her friend's ex-boyfriend's place just to make sure her intoxicated friend was safe. The girl deserves a medal for that level of dedication. I'd be happy to be friends with Nat. OP, not so much. Dude. Literally everyone is telling you you're the idiot. Any human with a shred of decency, humanity and common sense is saying you're the idiot. You need to be better as a person. There is a final verdict that you were the idiot, and hopefully when you need help, someone who can offer you a small kindness refuses you, so you know exactly how small and alone that poor woman felt. Update. I said hello to Natalie this morning. She was very nice and accepted my apology. She also said she was sorry for invading my space on Friday. She talks a lot, which I guess I would usually find pretty annoying, but I didn't seem to mind with her. It turns out we both have a break between classes, so we just stood there talking for about 20 minutes. Well, she talked and I just nodded my head. When it was time to leave, she said it was a really nice conversation, which made zero sense because I didn't say much, but I went against my instinct to correct her. She said she'd like to do it again sometime, and I said I would too. I just married my wife. We've been together for almost 2 years. She has a daughter, almost 2 years old, from a previous relationship. Bio dad isn't in the picture. The wedding was back in September. Her daughter was a toddler at that point. She was going to be our flower girl. We'd arranged for her regular babysitter to stay with her during the ceremony and take her home for the reception. But right when the wedding started, she had a meltdown and only wanted her mom, so my wife held her through the entire ceremony. She got hungry and cranky during the ceremony, so my wife tried passing her off to the babysitter so she could have a snack, but she wasn't having it. So my wife held her daughter while her daughter was eating a Ziploc bag of dry cereal during our wedding ceremony. She was also with my wife throughout the reception. We just got the pictures back, and a lot of them have the baby eating cereal on my wife's hip in them. I told my wife I wanted to Photoshop her out of some of the pictures and put the Photoshop ones up, at least to make it look like the wedding went the way we planned it. My wife thinks the pictures with her daughter are cute and wants to hang those up. She doesn't see why we should Photoshop anybody out of our wedding pictures. I told her I wanted the pictures to look a little more elegant, and a baby eating cereal out of a Ziploc bag wasn't exactly elegant. She's upset now because she thinks I'm trying to erase her daughter and is currently sleeping in her daughter's room. You are the idiot. Why are you trying to create fantasy photos of a wedding that didn't happen the way you imagined it might? What happened, happened. You married a woman with a young child, and that child ended up being right in the middle of things. Accept this with good humor and put up pictures of your wedding. Things do not always go to plan. The more you learn to see the humor, roll with things, and smile about them afterward, the happier you will all be. If anything, I think it's kind of sweet that the stepdaughter was right in the action as your new family was established. I understand your wife's sentiment on not wanting to change them. What a beautiful family memory. Because, like it or not, you married a mom. She doesn't get to take that hat off for picture-perfect moments. Yeah, I have some sympathy for OP, but also he chose to marry a woman with a toddler, and Ziplocs full of Cheerios is his life now, so the sooner that sinks in, the more likely the marriage is to last. OP, do a fancy romantic photo shoot with just your wife. Put those pictures up. Also the unphotoshopped pictures from the actual wedding. People, he stated he wants some photos to be edited, while others will still include the stepdaughter. Not the idiot. You're not trying to remove your stepdaughter from your wedding altogether. You're trying to get some pictures of you and your bride on your special day that don't include a tantrumy toddler and her snacks. There's nothing wrong with that. My teen male brother, pre-tween, keeps leaving his toys in our backyard, despite our parents, 47 male, 44 female, telling him over and over again that he has to pick up after himself. Recently, my dog swallowed one of the Lego pieces my brother left behind and had to go through an endoscopic removal, which cost us a fortune in vet bills, not to mention that something worse could have happened. I call him my dog because we got him when I was 10 after I'd begged my parents for a dog for years, and there was always an understanding that this was to be my dog, not a family dog. I mean, of course my parents paid for food, usual vet bills and what else, but I was always responsible for taking care of him. Now that I'm working part-time and have some money, I offered to help my parents pay for this unexpected expensive procedure. I didn't have to, but I know my parents are not in a good place financially right now because my mother just opened her own business and they invested a lot of their savings in it. Anyway, while my dog was still at the hospital, I told my brother loud and clear, and in the presence of my parents, if I see your Legos out there again, I'll throw them all away. Cut to 2 weeks later, and what do you think happened? He left his Legos outside again, so I made good on my promise. When my parents realized what I did, they were mad. I told him I would do it in front of you guys, you didn't say anything. I said. My parents thought it was an empty threat in the heat of the moment and I would never actually do it. My little brother is acting like there's a death in the family. So, am I the idiot here? Everyone's the idiot here. Your brother may never forgive you. I understand your irritation, but as a teen it's hard to comprehend the immaturity of some young children. When you made the threat, your parents should have been paying attention and weighed in on what they thought of it. What if you'd threatened to kill him if he did it again? I think what you did was dumb. You should have taken the Legos and hid them and denied knowing to him where they were at. When he finally seemed to grasp what loss is, Legos being much less than a cherished pet, you could have negotiated with your parents what he could do to earn them back. I mean, throwing them away was stupid. Sell them and put the money towards the vet bills. Not the idiot. This isn't about punishing your brother, it's about protecting your dog's life after a life-threatening and expensive incident has already occurred. Your parents should have done something, but they didn't. You told your brother, in front of your parents, just what would happen. They made no objections. So, as far as you could tell, you were doing this with parental permission.